Is the crisis we've all been living in improving? The answer to that question is no. So we need to keep prepping as best as we can. So in this video, we're going to talk about why we need to keep prepping and just a few things that have just recently happened over the last few days to kind of remind you as to why it's important to prepare. Hey everybody. It's Magic Prepper, and today we're going to talk about how the crisis we've all been dealing with for more than a year now is still not improving, okay? And we need to keep prepping even though the news media isn't as sensational as it was a year ago. The news media likes to put a lot of things into overdrive when it comes to reporting on certain topics. And lately they're trying their best to make things look as positive as possible in order to help support those who they're affiliated with. And right now we know that the world is still not moving in a better direction, but if you were to look at your generalized mainstream media sources, it would seem like things are in fact getting better. But I'm here to tell you they really are not. And let's not even focus on the big ones like the economy. We all know what the economy is doing right now and how it's going to not necessarily recover very easily from all the things that have occurred. And we also know that there's a lot of other things related to the pandemic that still have not been resolved. So we know that those things are an issue. We also know that things like the winter storm in Texas are another good reminder as to why we should prepare. However, still many people are either not prepping or not prepared at all. And you don't always need the news media to be sensational for you to understand that there's still things out there you should keep an eye on to say, yeah, this is why I'm preparing. And if you're worried about preparing, or maybe you need some extra motivation to prepare from time to time, then hit the subscribe button below, because that's what we're going to do here. Regardless of how sensational everything becomes in the news media, we can actually point to certain aspects of what's happening in the world and say, look, here are some contention points, here are some possible catalysts that we need to watch out for, and we're going to keep preparing because it's always a threat. There's an existential threat out there at all times that we're going to at least keep an eye on and try our best to attack if need be, in the sense of being as prepared for it as possible. So, that being said, let's just talk about the last few days and exactly what's been going on so we can all see that, yeah, there's still a lot of things happening here and this whole crisis has not improved, okay? So, we just had airstrikes in Syria against Iranian-backed militias. This is the first military action done by the current administration, and it's only 36 days into when they took office, okay? So this happened on Thursday. Obviously, anytime there's an airstrike in a foreign area, it's going to cause certain points of contention. We can understand that this is in Syria happening, and it's against a foreign entity, Iran. So now you're talking about foreign relations issues with countries that we know create problems and we know are going to be points of contention in the future. So there's one thing that just recently happened that we have to keep an eye on, okay? So keep preparing, right? Well, moving on from there, a U.S. destroyer just sailed through the Taiwan Strait, and that is a provocation according to China. And of course, China and the U.S. have had tense relations over the last year, and a lot of things have occurred in the sense of escalation. And now China is upset about this U.S. destroyer going through the Taiwan Strait, saying that it's an escalation, a provocation, something that didn't need to occur. But this is coming right on the heels of them having bomber drills in the South China Sea, where they have 10 Chinese bombers flying around practicing bombing things. So these are the provocations that are occurring in the world, okay? So understand that whether it's east or west or wherever, which way you want to look, these contention points are still occurring. The possibility of conflict is still there. More and more reasons to keep preparing, okay? We also know that there are new variants, according to science, in the pandemic situation, and these new variants, including the B.1.1.7 variant or the UK variant, are starting to emerge in the US, and we're seeing states like Colorado saying that they're getting more and more cases of this UK variant, and now top health officials are preparing for a surge in cases during the spring because of the aggression and the infectious capability of this new variant. And they're looking at what happened in the UK just a few months back, and they're saying, okay, well, this could now happen here, of course. And so here we are in that cycle again, and we're going to find ourselves with health officials saying that this new variant is going to create more problems that we're going to have to address. And I'm sure that certain things that people are taking right now in order to protect themselves from said pandemic may not be as effective against these variants. So let's see how that unfolds, but this is all just happening now. So, like I said, these are reports coming from the media just in the last few days, but everything's being painted with a nice little picture because of the affiliations that we all know the media has, okay? So moving on from there. Another interesting thing that's going on right now globally that might not be something you're very aware of or might not even necessarily affect your daily life, but is something to watch out for is the fact that there's a global shortage of semiconductors, okay? And those are in everything when it comes to electronics. So it's going to affect medical technologies, it's going to affect automotive, it's going to affect networking, it's also going to affect anything related to computers or anything else like that you might have in your home that requires processing power. So semiconductor shortage is based on stockpiling from countries due to things that are related to sanctions or trade deals or whatever else it might be. It's also because of the fact that because the pandemic limited people's ability to produce, it also limited necessary orders and everything else related to what these companies and manufacturers needed when it came to semiconductors. So orders went down, so supplies dwindled, and now that demand is coming back, they can't keep up. And they're saying that this shortage is going to be a year out on trying to be caught up. So you can expect things that require semiconductors to either become more expensive or harder to acquire. And for some people, that might be a big deal. I don't know if you have some kind of medical equipment that you're hoping to be able to acquire, or if you're in the market for a new automobile or whatever it might be. And I don't know why I said that like I'm from the 1920s, but either way, this is something that we need to talk about because these are shortages that are occurring that have came up here in the last day or two in the sense of being reported on, and most people aren't even aware of it. So just keep that in mind. These shortages, the supply chain disruption is affecting everything, all the way from what we saw with medical tech back in March of 2020, all the way up to now affecting things as basic as semiconductors. So understand the supply chain disruptions are not over, and they're going to take a long time to get caught up. And the semiconductor situation is just another good example of that exact scenario. So moving on from there, we all know what's been going on in the world of trading, aka stocks, aka crypto, everything else related to trading, and we all know that there's been a lot of buzz going around things like GameStop, okay? Now, great, excellent. I love the idea of people getting together and figuring out the best way to invest and make money and take care of themselves. This is what a free market's supposed to be, but it's not a free market because the SEC, or the Securities and Exchange Commission, is now saying they're going to clamp down, they're going to lock down on social media trading. What they mean by that is when people get together and start trying to talk about what they're investing in next and everything else related to that, they're going to suspend trading on certain accounts based on that activity, okay? And they've already targeted 15 different penny stocks that they've seen chatter about, and expect this to go further. So expect the rise of the common man coming through the internet and understanding that we can actually support each other and use each other to make money and invest and get things going just the way that the Wall Street brokers do right now. But the SEC is going to come in and say, yeah, you can't do that actually because, you know, you're not one of those people. So thanks to them, this is going to be a problem here moving forward. So just keep that in mind when you're investing or you're doing anything related to trading, because they're starting to take a closer look. And I'm not a financial advisor. I am just telling you this is reported on just in the last day or two, and it's something that we need to watch out for, especially if you're involved with it. Okay, so now these are just things that just happened, like literally just happened, that we can see as being problematic and we can prepare for by being more self-sufficient, being more self-reliant, and trying to get ourselves into a better position so that we can withstand whatever these threats might throw our way. But still, these things are not being reported in the same sense as they would have been a year ago. So understand that the media is not on your side. It's not there to help keep you motivated and help you understand what's really on the horizon. So keep that in mind, because it's easy to lose motivation when the fire is not burning right in front of your eyes. It's just when they decide it needs to be that you're going to feel that way. So these are things that just occurred. This is why we need to keep prepping. Things are not improving. In fact, things seem to be kind of falling apart more and more. And we all know with this new leadership in town that things are going to continually get more interesting, okay? So keep that in mind. And just on a positive note, or for some, I guess, but in a positive manner, the stimulus check update is that if the bill passes by March 12th, we should expect stimulus checks by the following week. And that's according to the IRS. So that being said, there is something to sort of look forward to. Yes, it is still not something everybody wants, or it's not something we wish the country was in a position to have to do. But if we can get our hands on some more of our own money back in our hands and use it towards preps and use it towards making ourselves more self-sufficient, more self-reliant, or possibly relocating somewhere where we can do better for ourselves, then let's go ahead and take that. And it is looking like it's going to pass. So I thought that would be another positive note for us to kind of end on, saying that, look, stimulus money might be on its way as long as you hit the income threshold. And at that point, you know, use that wisely to try to better yourself and get yourself into a better position where you don't need to be as reliant on organizations that aren't actually there for your best interest, okay? So I wanted to bring this to your attention. These are all things that are happening right now. It's important that we keep prepping. People easily fall off the boat because things don't seem as chaotic as they did last year, okay? People aren't freaking out in the same way that they are, and that's dangerous because complacency and comfort is what happens when you look at the situation in Texas, when people said, okay, we're fine now, we're in the clear, and then suddenly, boom, a big natural disaster occurs, power goes out, and people are saying they wish they had water, they wish they had food, they wish they had a way to take care of themselves, and they had the whole year of 2020 to try to figure some of those things out, and were not able to because they felt better about where everything was. And that's just a form of complacency that can cause problems for you in the future. We all know that, and that is just what happens to the average person. But you're not the average person because you're here and you're trying to better prepare yourself. So I appreciate you for that. So without anything else to say about why we need to keep prepping and why this crisis isn't necessarily improving, that's going to be it for Magic Prep.